Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Mugunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Welcome to all for this session on Ramayana to the chapter 1 of Sundara Kanda. In the previous chapters, we have seen all the Vanaras came to know the dwelling place of Ravana is beyond the seashore in an island 100 yojanas or 400 miles away from the shore. And Sita is being held captive there, and it was told by Sampati. Now, knowing this, they have decided to jump over the ocean to reach Lanka and find out the state of Sita over there in the dwelling place or the kingdom of Ravana. Then that scourge of his foes, Hanuman, prepared to follow the path of Charanas, because out of all those Vanaras, it was only Hanuman who has the capability to jump over 400 miles in one jump and reach over to Lanka. Hence, he decided to follow the path of the Charanas in quest of the place to which Sita had been borne away by Ravana. Desirous of accomplishing this difficult feat without hindrance, impossible to any other, the powerful monkey stretching out his head and neck like a bull, frightening the birds, uprooting the trees with his breast, and destroying innumerable creatures, like a lion overflowing with energy, joyfully bounded over the grassy slopes resembling the sea on that mountain plateau frequented by the chiefs of the serpent race, embellished by blue, red, yellow, rose, and various colored metals, thronged with celestial beings, yakshas, kinnaras, and gandharvas, able to change their form at will. That foremost of monkeys stood like a naga in a lake. Then, having paid homage to the sun god Mahendra, Pavana, Swayambhu, all beings, he prepared to set out on his journey. And if you observe here, sun god is the blessings of the sun god is required because he is now jumping and flying against the path of the sun. And then Pavana is his father, and Swayambhu is the Brahma who gave blessings for him, and Mahendra is the lord of the triple world. Turning towards the east and saluting his father, wind god, the resourceful Hanuman, having resolved to cross the ocean to fulfill Rama's purpose in order to reach the southern region, expanded his body under the eyes of the leaders of the monkeys as the sea increases under the full moon. Assuming an immense stature, desirous of traversing the ocean, he pressed the mountain with his hands and feet, and that immovable peak shook under his weight, and all the blossom from the tops of the trees fell in a shower, wholly covering it with a mass of fragrant blooms. Under the extreme pressure of that monkey's weight, water gushed forth from the mountain like ichor from the temples of an elephant in rut. Trampled underfoot by that mighty forest dweller, the mountain let loose innumerable streams of gold, silver, and collyrium, and from that rocky mass, enormous boulders attached themselves containing red arsenic so that it resembled a brazier wreathed in smoke. Crushed on every side by the monkey, those creatures dwelling in the caverns, bruised and stifled, emitted strange cries, and the formidable clamor created by them filled the whole earth and other regions. Great serpents, rearing their distinctive hoods, vomited fire and bit the rocks with their fangs, and those great crags, split by the venom, broke into flames and were shivered into a thousand fragments. The medicinal herbs also, which grew there, were affected by the poison which they were unable to neutralize. Then the ascetics, terrified, reflecting that the mountain was being riven by great beings, fled away, as well as the Vidyadharas with their attendant woman, forsaking their golden seats, goblets, and precious vessels with the hours of gold in the feasting hall, abandoning the priceless sauces, wines, and viands of every kind, and the hides and swords with gods of Kanaka gold, intoxicated their necks encircled with jeweled chains, adorned with garlands and red sandal paste, their eyes resembling blue lotuses, they rose into the air, and those fair ones wearing strings of pearls, rings, and bracelets, startled, ascended smiling into the sky, close to their loved ones. Witnessing this great marvel, Maharishis and Vidyadharas stood in the firmament, gazing down on the mountain, and they heard their pure-minded ascetics saying, this Hanuman, born of the wind, endued with great energy, desirous of crossing the ocean and abode of Varuna, in order to carry out Rama's purpose and that of monkeys, is eager to reach the further shore, a most difficult feat. Hearing the words of the ascetics, the Vidyadharas beheld that foremost of monkeys on the mountain, bristling and quivering like a flame, emitting a great roar like the rumble of thunder. Then raising his tail, which twitched convulsively like a snake shaken by an eagle, he waved it to and fro, and lying curled across his back, it resembled a great serpent borne away by Garuda. And the monkey, stiffening his arm like unto two immense clubs, girded up his limbs and crouching down, contracted his neck and arms, summoning up all his strength and courage, scanning the path he was to take and examining the distance to be covered. He drew in his breath, pressing his 2 feet firmly on the ground, and that elephant among monkeys, Hanuman, flattening his ears, leapt forward and, full of energy, addressed the forest dwellers, saying, as an arrow loosened by Raghava flies with the speed of the wind, so shall I course to Lanka, which is guarded by Ravana. If I fail to find the daughter of Janaka there, I shall repair with the same speed to the region of the gods, where, if despite my efforts, if I do not recover Sita, I shall bring back the king of the Titans, that is Ravana, in chains. Either achieving success, I shall return, or uprooting Lanka from its foundation, I shall bear it here together with Ravana. With these words, Hanuman, the foremost of monkeys, without pausing for breath, deeming himself to be a second Suparna, sprang into the air, and such a way the force of his leap that the trees growing on the mountain, tossing their branches, was sent spinning on every side. In this rapid flight, Hanuman bore away those trees with their flowering boughs filled with lapwings, intoxicated with love into empyrean, carried away by the impetus of his tremendous bound. Those trees followed in his wake like relatives accompanying their dear one, setting out on a journey to a far country. Rooted by the force of his motion, Sala and other forest trees followed in Hanuman's wake like an army, its leader. Surrounded by countless trees, the crests of which were laden with blossom, the monkey, Vanara, Hanuman, resembling a glorious mountain, was wonderful to behold, and those great trees, full of sap, fell into the sea as formerly, The mountains, in fear of Indra, plunged into the Varuna's abode, covered with flowers of every kind, as well as young shoots and buds. That monkey shone like a cloud or a hill aglow with fireflies, torn away by his leaping. Those trees, scattering their blossom here and there, plunged into the sea like friends who, having escorted one of their company, return. Borne away in their fragility by the wind produced by the monkey's impetuous flight, which had detached them from their stems, the multicolored flowers fell into the sea, covered with a drift of fragrant blooms of diverse tints. That monkey in his flight resembled a mass of clouds embellished by lightning, and the waters strewn with blossom of his leaf looked like the firmament when that enchanting stars appear. His two arms, outstretched in space, resembled two five-headed serpents issuing from the summit of a mountain. Sometimes that mighty monkey seemed to be drinking up the ocean with the multitudinous waves, and sometimes it seemed as if he would swallow the sky itself. As he thus followed the wind's path, his eyes, shining like lightning, sparkled like two fires that have been kindled on a mountain. The eyes of the tawny hued one resembled the sun and moon in juxtaposition, and his coppery nose lent his countenance the same hue as the solar orb at the approach of dusk. His uplifted tail caused that offspring of the wind to appear like the raised banner of Indra, with his coiled tail and white teeth. That exceedingly sagacious son of Anila, that is Hanuman, shone like the star of the day, encircled by halo of the rays, in his plump form of a coppery hue, caused him to resemble mountain which is being excavated for its deposits of red ochre. Bounding over the waters, the air imprisoned in the armpits of the leonine monkey emitted a sound like thunder. As in space, a meteor from a higher region rushes through the skies, so did the elephant of monkeys pure or like a great bird soaring into the air or a great tusker tightly bound by a girth, while the reflection of his body cast on the deep resembled vessel foundering in a storm. Wherever that great monkey passed, the sea rose tumultuously under the force of his bounds, and rushing on with extreme speed, with his breast like a great prow, he caused the salty sea to surge mountainously, pushing those high heaving billows before him. That lion among monkeys seemed to be separating heaven and earth. The waves that rose up resembled Mount Meru and Mandara, and breathed bested by him in his impetuous course. The waters, lashed by his speed, overspread the sky like autumnal clouds. Whales, crocodiles, huge fish, and turtles were uncovered in turn, like the limbs of one shedding his attire. The sea serpents, beholding the lion among monkeys traveling through space, took him to be Suparna himself. The shadow of that great monkey, 40 miles in extent and 30 wide, grew larger in the rapidity of his flight. Remember, while Hanuman is flying over the sea, it is already late in the evening. So, quite naturally, the shadow will be much, much larger compared to the actual person himself. And resembling a mass of white clouds falling on the salty waters, looked exceedingly beautiful. That supremely illustrious and mighty monkey of vast body appeared like a winged mountain. Sorry, appeared like a winged mountain as he followed his aerial path without rest. Wherever that mighty elephant among the monkeys passed, the sea was instantly transformed into a fountain, and following the path of the birds, Hanuman, like the king of the feather tribe, thrust aside the massed clouds like the wind god himself. Great clouds, red, blue, pale, or dark, scattered by the monkey's flight, looked exceedingly beautiful, and he, now entering into them, sometimes hidden, sometimes visible, resembled the moon. Seeing that Prabhaga coursing with such speed, gods, Gandharvas, and Danavas began to rain flowers on him, and as he sailed on, the sun refrained from tormenting him, and the wind ministered to him for the sake of Rama's enterprise. Then the rishis praised the dweller of the goods as he was coursing through the sky, and the gods and Gandharvas extolled him in song. Seeing him bounding in space, Nagas, Yakshas, and Rakshasas of various races lauded that excellent monkey, and the ocean, ever solicitous for the honor of the house of Ikshwaku, reflected, if I do not lend assistance to this lord of monkeys, I shall be an object of obloquy to all those gifted with speech. Was I not reared by Sagara, the foremost of the race of Ikshwaku? If you remember, it was the 60,000 sons of Sagara who digged the earth and increased the size of the ocean. And it in that way, Sagara, or the Samudra, he is reared by the king Sagara. This monkey is their counselor. It is therefore incumbent on me not to let him perish in the waves. It behoves me to act in such wise that he may rest, and thus relieved by me, he will happily traverse the remaining way. In this magnanimous thought, the sea utters that most excellent of mountains, the golden hued Mainaka, which was covered by waves, saying, you have been placed here by the king of the celestials, that is Indra, as a rampart against the asuras inhabiting the nether regions. Their power is well known, and let they rise up anew from that hell of immeasurable dimension. You are here to prevent their escape. There was a great hole in the sea through which there is an entry to the nether worlds, and from the same nether worlds, asuras might escape back into the earth and might create problem for the people. So, because of that reason, Indra had placed Mainaka covering that particular hole to the nether world so that the asuras will never be able to escape back to earth. Nevertheless, you are able to move towards and down, to move upwards and downwards and from side to side. I command you, therefore, O best of mountains, to rise up, that lion among monkeys, performer of mighty exploits, engaged in Rama's service, overcome with fatigue, is passing over you. You are witness of his exertions. Now lift yourself up. Hearing the ocean's words, the golden breasted mountain Mainaka, with its tall trees and creepers, instantly rose from its watery bed, and as the sun with its burning rays divides the cloud, that great mountain which the waters had concealed on request, exposed its on Sagara's request, that is Samudra Raja Sagara's request, exposed its golden peaks inhabited by kinnaras and great serpents, shimmering like the sun at dawn, as if it were licking the skies. The summits of that high mountain shining like a sword, possessed the brilliance of gold, and its gilded crest emitted a dazzling light, lending it the luster of thousand suns. Beholding that mountain suddenly emerge before him from the middle of the sea, Hanuman reflected, this is an obstacle, and that mighty and impetuous monkey crushed that stony mass with his breast as the wind scatters the clouds. Then that foremost of mountains, recognizing the power of Hanuman, shouted for joy. Thereupon, assuming the form of a man, stationing himself on his own summit, with glad heart he addressed Hanuman, saying, O most excellent of forest dwellers, you have undertaken an arduous task. Take my take your ease on my crest and continue without fatigue. The Ocean King was born in the house of Raghu, and seeing you engaged in Rama's behalf, offers obeisance to you. To render service for the service for service is a divine decree. Desirous of serving Raghu's race, he is worthy of your consideration. To do your honor, the sea god adjured me thus, traversing 100 yojanas through the air. This monkey is worn out by his exertions. Let him rest a while on your summit and continue his way without fatigue. Do yourself, therefore, remain here, O best of monkeys, and repose yourself. Having feasted on these many sweet and fragrant fruits and roots, proceed on your course at your leisure. O foremost of monkeys, the sum of your virtues is well known in the three worlds. O son of the wind, of all the Plavagas who abound in energy, I esteem you to be the chief. O lion among monkeys, even an ordinary man is honored as a guest by one conversant with his duty. How much more one such as you? You are the son of Maruta, the foremost of the celestials, and do equal to him in speed, O best of monkeys. In honoring you, who are conversant with virtue, one is honoring your father. Therefore, you do merit my reverence. Here, herein, there is a further reason for this. In olden times, dear child, this is how exactly Mainaka is also being served by the wind god, the father of Hanuman. In olden times, dear child, the mountains endowed with wings began to range the four quarters with the speed of Garuda, and journeying thus the companies of celestials, ascetics, and other beings trembled with fear, let they should fall. Means, what if the mountains fall on them? Then, highly enraged, the god of thousand eyes, that is Indra, performer of 100 sacrifices, severed the wings of those hundreds and thousands of mountains with his thunderbolt. When full of wrath, the Lord of the Celestials approached me, brandishing his mace. I was suddenly swept away by that high souled wind god. O foremost of monkeys, I was thus cast into the salty waves, and retaining my wings was preserved unhurt by your ancestor, that is, by your father. On account of this, you are an object of adoration to me, and this is the powerful bond which unites us, O chief of the monkeys. The time for honoring the benefit comfort having come, it behoves you to accord this felicity to the ocean and myself, O illustrious one. Repose yourself, therefore, and accept our homage who are worthy of your respect. O venerable Hanuman, happy am I to see you here. Thus, accosted by Mainaka, the foremost of mountains, that excellent Hanuman answered back, saying, I am grateful for your welcome. Time presses, and I have vowed not to rest on the way. Day is declining. Let nothing shall disturb your serenity. In fact, at that time when Hanuman started flying, it was already late in the evening, and before the sun sets and before the dark sets on the ocean, he need to find the location of Lanka, and he she need to land in Lanka. And because of that reason, he cannot rest anywhere. Like this, it so happen in our life, whatever is the work that we are trying to carry out, there will be many obstacles. Certain obstacles are really very sweet obstacles. They actually are our friends, and they actually wanted to extend their hospitality towards us. They praise us, they try to help us, but in our endeavor to reach the aim, if we were carried out by their praise, if we are carried out by their hospitality, we may not able to reach the aim in time. The time is also equally important, and because of that reason, often, though it is a friendly invitation, we need to reject it because of considering that as an obstacle in reaching our goal. Then, touching the mountain with his hand, that lion among monkeys, smiling, sailed on through the air, whereupon the mountain and the ocean offered him with their respect and gave him their blessings. Rising high into the sky, he looked down on the mountain and the vast ocean and proceeded unsupported in the pathway of the wind. Extending the hospitality is one's greatness. But of course, and if the other person doesn't receive, that is not ready, doesn't have much time to accept that hospitality, one should not feel bad. He should only be happy for being able to extend his hospitality. But of course, the other man may be in a hurry, in which case we need to accept the urgency of their work and we need to respect their time. Seeing Hanuman achieve this difficult feat, the celestial beings and ascetics acclaimed him. Then the gods present in their turn applauded the action of that golden mountain of beautiful slopes, as did Indra, the thousand-eyed deity also, and supremely gratified consort of Shachi paid homage to that illustrious mountain personally, saying, O Lord of mountains, I am extremely pleased with you. I grant you full security. Proceed therefore where you desire. O friend, you have fearlessly offered assistance to Hanuman, who was exhausted after crossing many miles of sea despite every hazard. It is on Rama's behalf, the son of King Dasharatha, that the monkey Hanuman has undertaken this journey, and you have welcomed him to the best of your power. I am well pleased with you. Beholding the king of the gods, Shatakratu, highly gratified, the foremost of mountains, experienced supreme felicity, and having received that boon from Indra, resumed its former place. Then Hanuman, in a short space, sped over the sea. Because earlier it was the Shatakratu Indra who cut off the wings of all the mountains, and Mainaka was always under the fear that he may be found by Indra, who might cut his wings because his wings are still in place. Whereas now Indra gave him the protection, offered him protection, saying that he will develop a cordial relation with him. Thereupon the gods, Gandharvas, and Siddhas with the ascetics called upon Surasa, the mother of serpents, who resembled the sun, saying, the effulgent son of the wind is crossing the main, that is, Hanuman is crossing the main. It is for you to delay him a while, assuming the form of a terrible Rakshasi as high as a mountain with monstrous jaws and coppery eyes. Do yourself reach up to the sky. We desire to test his strength and measure his fortitude to see if he is able to overcome you or if he retires discomfited. Now, here is the next obstacle in his path. This obstacle may not look like a friendly obstacle extending him the hospitality. Here, Surasa, the mother of serpents, is really creating him an obstacle with an intention to test his intellectual skills of overcoming the obstacles. At these words, Surasa, having been honored by the gods, rose from the ocean in the form of a female demon, deformed and hideous, inspiring terror in all beings, and staying Hanuman in his flight, addressed him, saying, O foremost of monkeys, you have been destined by the lords of the world to be my food. That is the Brahma. You have been destined to be my food. I am about to devour you. Do yourself enter my mouth. This boon was formerly granted to me by Brahma himself. With these words, she opened her vast mouth wide, placing herself in Maruti's path. Having listened to Surasa's speech, Hanuman, smiling, answered her, Rama, the son of Dasharatha, who retired to the Dandaka forest with Lakshmana, his brother, and Vaidehi, his consort, as a result of certain exploit, became the enemy of the demons. His beloved wife, the illustrious Sita, was subsequently carried away by Ravana. I have been sent to her on Rama's behalf, to whom you should proffer assistance. O you who inhabitest his dominion, means the Surasa is also living in the dominion that belonged to the Rama because Rama ruled the entire world. Having found Maithili and rejoined Rama, whose deeds are memorable, I shall return and enter your mouth. This I promise you in good faith. Thus addressed by Hanuman, Surasa, who was able to change her form at will, answered, None shall pass me alive. This is the boon I have received. Then, seeing him continue on his way, the mother of serpents added, I have received this favor from Brahma. First enter my mouth, and then you may go away. Hereafter, extending her capacious jaws, she placed herself in front of Maruti. Surasa's words incensed that lion among monkeys, and he said, Open your mouth wide enough to swallow me. Having said this in anger, Surasa extended her jaws to the width of 40 miles, and Hanuman increased his girth accordingly. That thereat Surasa enlarged her mouth to 50 miles, and seeing the jaws of Surasa wide open with its long tongue, terrible to look upon, resembling a mountain measuring 50 miles, Hanuman enlarged himself beyond that extent also. Then Surasa increased her mouth to 60 miles, and the heroic Hanuman increased his body to 70. Whereupon Surasa widened her jaws to 80 miles, and Hanuman, resembling fire itself, to 90 miles. Then Surasa enlarged her mouth to the extent of 100 miles, and Hanuman immediately reducing his body like a cloud to the size of a thumb's breadth, entered into her mouth and re-emerging from it, standing in space, addressed her, saying, O Dakshayani, salutations to you, because Surasa, is actually the daughter of Daksha, Prajapati Brahma, and Hanuman is well aware, though she took the form of a demon, that she is Surasa, the mother of serpent and the daughter of Daksha. O Dakshayani, salutations to you. I have entered your mouth, and now I go to seek out Vaidehi. Your boon has been honored, but the Brahma has given the boon that anything that is flying across need to enter into her mouth. So now Hanuman entered her mouth and he came out. This is how exactly sometimes offer we come across with obstacle in our life which test our intellectual capabilities. We need not have to kill Hanuman here need not have to kill Surasa. He just have to pass the intellectual test that is posed by Surasa. Seeing Hanuman emerging from her mouth like the moon from the mouth of Rahu, that goddess assuming her own form said to the Hanuman, "Go, O best of monkeys, best of Vanaras, accomplish your mission. You have done well, O friend. Now restore Sita to the magnanimous Raghava." Seeing this third supremely difficult feat accomplished by Hanuman, the first being launching himself for the flight, the second being dashing against Mainaka, considering it as an obstacle, and third being escaping from the mouth of Surasa, all being extolled that Hanuman, crying, "Excellent, excellent," paying obeisance to him, and he, flying into the sky with the speed of Garuda, went on across the sea, abode of Varuna, coursing through the air which was filled with clouds, where birds ranged and which was frequented by Vidyadharas and shining vehicles drawn by lions, elephants, tigers, and winged serpents, and Maruti, scattering the clouds like the wind itself, sailed on like Garuda through that firmament, which was illumined by flashes of lightning, resembling the five fires inhabited by beings who, by their merits, had conquered heaven, occupied by the deity of fire, bearing the sacrificial oblations, adorned by the constellations of planets, the sun, the moon, and hosts of stars, thronged with Maharishis, Gandharvas, Nagas, and Yakshas, pure, stainless, immense, inhabited by Vishwavasu, trodden by the elephant of the king of gods, that orbit of the sun and the moon, the canopy of the world, stretched by Brahma over the earth, was visited by countless heroes and aerial beings. Mighty clouds shining with the tints of Kalagaru, red, yellow, and black, sparkled with brilliance as they were dispelled by Hanuman, and he, penetrating those cloudy battlements, emerged once more as the moon in the rainy season disappears and reappears in the clouds. Everywhere the son of Maruta could be seen cleaving the air like the king of the mountains furnished with wings. Seeing him sailing through space, a female demon of immense size named Simhika, who was able to change her form at will, said to herself, "Today, after a long time, I shall be able to satisfy my hunger. That great creature has appeared in answer to my wish." So here is the third obstacle in his path. Here is a real demon who wished to devour him by pulling his shadow. Reflecting thus in her heart, she seized Hanuman's shadow, and he, feeling it held fast, thought, "My power has suddenly been dissipated like a mighty bark which is retarded in its course by an adverse wind." Then, looking round on every side, Hanuman perceived that immense being rising from the salty waves. Seeing that monster, the son of the wind god reflected, "This is without doubt that creature of wonderful form, possessed of exceeding power given to securing its prey by means of their shadow, who was described to me by Sugriva, concluding by her action that it was Simhika, that sagacious monkey expanded his frame to gigantic proportions so that he resembled a mass of cloud during the rains. When the demon saw the enlarged body of that mighty monkey, she extended her jaws so that they resembled the sky and the nether regions, and roaring like thunder, hurled himself upon him, but marking the proportions of her mouth and the vulnerable parts of her body, that intelligent monkey, hard as a diamond, contracted his limbs, threw himself into her jaws. So, what Hanuman did was, after he saw Simhika rushing towards him with her mouth wide open so that she can completely swallow the huge size of Hanuman. Immediately, like what he did with Surasa, he reduced his body size to the normal size and he directly jumped directly inside into her jaws. And the Siddhas and Charanas beheld him beheld him diving into her mouth, disappearing like the moon devoured by Rahu at the time of eclipse. And Hanuman, with his sharp nails, tore the entrails of the demon, and with the rapidity of thought emerged, having slain her by his acuteness, endurance, and skill, and having overthrown her, began to expand once more. Thereafter, that hero among monkeys suddenly regained his power, while Simhika, deprived of life by him, torn asunder, sank into the waves, Swayambhu having created him for her destruction. Hanuman was so swift on seeing that Simhika, who is pulling his shadow, trying to swallow him, and he first increased his body size, and then Simhika also increased her mouth and tried to swallow him completely. But then he suddenly shifted his shape to the normal size and dived directly into her jaws. And entering inside, he cut off her from inside itself with his nails, and then he came out, killing her. Perceiving Simhika speedily overcome by him, all the beings who range the skies addressed that foremost of monkeys, saying, "Tremendous is this deed that you have performed this day. Mighty was this monster whom you have slain. O illustrious monkey, now pursue the purpose dear to your heart without hindrance. He who, like you, possesses the four attributes fixity of purpose, circumspection, wisdom, and ability, does not fail in his enterprise. O great among the monkeys, honored by these those whose wishes are fulfilled, as he merited to be, that monkey Hanuman flew into the sky like Garuda, the devourer of serpents. Then, having reached the further shore, Hanuman looked round on every side, observed countless woods 100 miles distant, and as he went on, leader of forest dwellers saw an island adorned with trees of various kinds and thickets belonging to the Malaya mountains. And he surveyed the sea and the lands bordering it and the trees growing on its shores, as also the mouths of ocean's consorts. Gazing down on his own body, which resembled a great cloud covering the sky, such self contained monkey Hanuman reflected himself, observing my immense stature and the rapidity of my flight. The demons will be seized with curiosity concerning me. Thinking thus, in his great prudence, he contracted his body, which was the size of a mountain, and assumed his ordinary form as one whose wits have been scattered resumes his normal state. Abandoning his gigantic dimensions, he took on his native form, as did Vishnu, the depriver of Bali's power, when he made the three strides. Constantly mindful of his mission, Hanuman, who was able to assume various graceful forms, having crossed the sea, a feat not to be accomplished by anyone else, reduced his body to its former size. Thereafter, that high-souled one, resembling a cloudy pavilion, alighted on the summit of the glorious mountain Sambha or Lamba, or also known as Trikuta, of many splendid peaks which was covered with Ketaka, Uddalaka and Narikela trees. Reaching the shore of the sea, the monkey, beholding Lanka on the top of the foremost of mountains, descended, having assumed his native form, causing agitation among the deer and birds. Through his valor, having traversed the ocean, heaving with waves and bounding in Danavas and Pannagas, Hanuman, alighting on the further shore, beheld Lanka, which resembled the city of Amaravati. Thus ended chapter 1 of Sundara Kanda in Ramayana, wherein we saw Hanuman going on his expedition to Lanka, faced with many obstacles. The first one was a very friendly obstacle, extending the hospitality, which he refused to save his time. The second was to test his intellectual capability, and he successfully passed through the mouth of Surasa, passing the test. And finally, it was the Simhika who is trying to test his strength. She was almost interested in devouring him, but he killed her in his endeavor, and then he went ahead and reached Lanka well in time before the sun sets. Namaste Sharada Devi, Kashmir Puravasini, Twamaham Prarthaye Nityam, Vidyadanancha Dehime.